Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cheryl if you're new here, and today I'm here to bring you the 6 books that I have DNF'd recently. Now, I'm sure I've DNF'd more books in my life, but I have only really started, counting the books that I've DNF'd or putting them on a special shelf on my Goodreads for the purposes of this video in the last probably 4 years or so. So I've only amassed 6 books because I really don't DNF books that often. Unfortunately, I really wish I could DNF more, but I'm the kind of person that I just push myself through a book I don't like, put myself into a reading slump, and then just lament over the fact that I'm in a reading slump even though it's my fault in the first place. So I'm trying to break myself of that habit, which means that you might be seeing more of these videos. But without further ado, let's just get into these books. They are in no particular order of what I liked the least or anything like that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to the books. So book number 1 I'm going to talk about is Willow, and I don't even remember who the author is because it has been 2 or 3 years since I picked up this book, but I will insert a screenshot of it somewhere and you can see the cover. Now, I don't really remember much about this book other than it revolves around a girl named Willow who self-harms, and that is the whole premise of the story. Basically, she meets this boy, love cures everything. So I DNF'd this book for a couple of reasons. First off, I hated the fact that the only thing about the character, the main character at least for the first 50 pages or so, was the fact that she self-harmed. She had no other personality. Her whole life and her whole personality revolved around the fact that she self-harmed, and it romanticized it. And the rest of the book basically implied from how it was set up in the beginning that she was going to meet this boy, they were going to fall in love, and love would cure her mental illness, which is not how any of that works. And it was frustrating. On top of that, it wasn't well written, and it's the first book that I distinctly remember just being this is shit, I'm not finishing this book, and I put it down and just never picked it up again, never looked back. So the second book I'm going to talk about is She's Come Undone by Wally Lamb. Now, I've had this book on my shelf for quite a while before I even picked it up. I think I got it at a thrift store or a yard sale for very cheap. I didn't really know anything about it when I picked it up, and this is another one that I think I got more than halfway through this one before I finally DNF'd it, and it wasn't good. I don't know. This book is so hyped. So many people seem to have loved it, but I just did not get the appeal. I did not like the main character whatsoever. She seemed I don't want to say whiny, but she seemed to not react to situations the way a normal person would, or a rational person, I should say, and it seemed like the author was putting her through these tragic situations just to further the plot. There was no other reason than that. It just didn't seem like it was very organic or integrated very well. I don't know. I didn't enjoy this. I didn't like the way it was written. I started to speed read the rest of the book to see if I could actually finish it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. So yeah, I ultimately DNF'd this one as well. So the third one I'm going to talk about might be the first one on this list that I might get some gasps from, and that is Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carringer, I think. I started listening to this one on audiobook. I borrowed it from my library on the Overdrive app, which is an app that works with a lot of libraries in the United States to allow you to borrow audiobooks and ebooks. So I started listening to it on that, and it was when I just started to get into audiobooks. I had listened to Fangirl by Rainbow Ralph before this, and that was my first ever audiobook. So this was, I think, my second ever audiobook, and maybe that is why I ended up DNFing it, because the story itself sounded fairly interesting, but something about it wasn't really gripping me, and I once again don't know if it was because I was listening to it via audiobook as opposed to reading the physical book. So I would be willing to give this one another go. I don't think I got very far into the story at all, but it also seemed, I don't want to say childish, but the way it was written seemed fairly simplistic, and that just didn't appeal to me, especially at the time I was listening to it. So ultimately I DNF'd this one, but like I said, it is probably, I'd say, the only one on this list that I would be willing to give another go. So book number 4 is one I actually have already talked about and unhauled already on this channel, and that is Lock and Key by Sarah Dessen, I believe. Once again, I got 50 pages into this book, and then I couldn't do it anymore. I don't know if it is I picked up not her best book, because I've heard so many good things about Sarah Dessen books, or if it's just because I'm not a contemporary person, but it just did not appeal to me. It didn't grip my attention, and I was only 50 pages in, but it was also only like a 300-page book. Maybe, not even that, I don't remember. So the story should have at least at some point picked up in that first 50 pages, but there was like nothing. It didn't grip me at all. Now, if it was like a 700-page book, that would be different, but unfortunately, it didn't appeal to me. I know some people have issues with people who DNF books after like only 50 pages, but honestly, if a book does not grasp my attention by the first 50 pages, what the hell? Like, why would I push myself to read it, because I'm clearly not interested? And that was the case for this one. So the fifth book I'm going to talk about is one that, I can go on a rant and a tangent about. In fact, if you are interested in my thoughts about this book alone, let me know in the comments below, because I would be more than willing to do a video on that by itself. And that is Beautiful Creatures by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I very rarely hate a book while I'm reading it, but oh my god, I fucking hated this book. Like, it was just trash. And I'm sorry if this is like a favorite of yours or you enjoyed it while reading it. More props to you, because I cannot fucking stand this book or this story or these characters. Everything about this book pissed me off. So, like I said, I can do a full video on this alone if you guys would like me to, but nothing. There was nothing redeemable about this book between the whiny-ass main character who hid Kurt Vonnegut under his bed so all the other boys wouldn't know that he was different, and the fact that he basically verbatim says, I want a girl who's not like other girls, to the fact that there was the epitome of I'm not like other girls in form of, I think, a love interest in this book. I can't remember if they got together by the time I DNF'd it or not. Obviously they were going to, but there was so much slut-shaming in this book, so much fat-shaming from both the main character and, like, every other character. Like, the main character, I believe, I can't remember on what page it is, but he basically said that some inconsequential, like, side character, cheerleader girl, had the audacity to be something that no other cheerleader in this town was. Chubby. Like, I read that line and I cringed. I was like, what the hell? Or the fact that his love interest was different, because instead of wearing high heels to, like, the school dance, she wore combat boots, and that was just so different. And so, fucking hated this book. So not only am I DNFing it, but it will definitely be unhauled in the future, because I can't stand to look at this. I know a lot of people didn't end up finishing the series, at least that I watch here on YouTube. A lot of people ended up, like, reading this one and maybe the second one, and then just getting rid of the series. So that wasn't inspiring when I went into this, but I didn't realize I was going to hate it as much as I did. It is trash. Do not recommend it. I don't even recommend this to, like, angry read the way I did with Twilight. This was just not good at all. And the sixth and last book I'm going to talk about today is one that might break a few people's hearts, but it's what I'm here to do. And that is Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. You can even see the bookmark where I left off. I am not unhauling this book the way that I have either unhauled the other ones or I'm planning to unhaul them, because first, I like having the series together. I do have some nostalgic attachment to the series, even though I didn't finish Mockingjay, because I read both The Hunger Games and Catching Fire in high school, and I think that's the problem. I did not pick up the Mockingjay until the beginning of this past month, so the beginning of April, I think, is when I picked it up. That is, like, a 6-7 year difference from the time I read Catching Fire. And I've seen the movies more recently, still not in, like, the last year or so. So I have, like, a vague idea of what happened in Catching Fire. And I think that was my problem, is I did not reread the first two before hopping into this. So at some point I would like to do that and then give this one another go. I do know a lot of people say that this is their least favorite in the series, and I do know some of the spoilery things that happened, but I blame myself for not wanting to finish this one more than I blame the book itself, because, like I said, I waited a ridiculous amount of time to pick this up, and I would just be reading it and a random character would be introduced and I'd be like, oh, is this their first introduction? And then I'll realize, like, 5 lanes down that no, they were someone who played a major role in one of the previous books, and I just don't remember them. So I'm gonna try my best at some point to get around to rereading the first 2 books so I can give this one another go, and then if I DNF this one again, we know then that it's the book, not me, but as of right now, do not hate me because I do not blame the book for this one. I blame myself. So yeah, those are all the books that I have, at least at this point in my life, DNF'd. I know there's going to be more because, like I said, I am trying my best not to push myself through books I hate. As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!